All right, good afternoon, everybody. Digital meteorologist Bobby Corser up here on the roof of the station. This is the first wave of many to come through the next couple days. Obviously, the first big story is this atmospheric river that is moving through the area. We have gotten rain now in the Portland area just about the last 3 hours or so. Wind also picking up here. We have seen wind gusts out along the Oregon coast nearing 60 miles an hour. The Astoria-Megler Bridge had a gust this morning just about 60 miles an hour, so that's not really surprising, as we knew that this first kind of wave of wind and water would be making its way in. Some of the impacts that we're going to be watching today and tomorrow throughout the course of the weekend as well. Afternoon commute is going to be really nasty. Those of us in the Portland metro area, actually, we were just looking at radar. We're going to get a little break here in the next hour, and then the next real wave kind of moves in. It's actually the more meaty of the atmospheric river will be coming in here this afternoon. So National Weather Service had put out an advisory saying between noon and 6 would be likely the heaviest stuff. And again, that looks like that's pretty on track. Camera shaking. I'm not holding this on a tripod, so I apologize in advance, but that's just because it is kind of windy up here. Wind gusts right now in the Portland area, about 15 to 20 miles an hour. We will see heavier winds this afternoon and into tomorrow. Once the first round of rain gets done later this evening and the atmospheric river moves off to the east, tomorrow morning a cold front will come sweeping through the area. It's forecast to be in the Portland area just about 9 o'clock. That is going to bring in another increase of winds. There is a high wind warning on the Oregon coast that will go into effect at 8 a.m. tomorrow, last to about 8 p.m. That's for the Tillamook County coastline and the central Oregon coast. That's where the National Weather Service believes that you're going to see the strongest winds from the storm. We will have winds in the Willamette Valley as well. Those will be gusting up to possibly about 45 miles an hour tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon. Once that cold front moves east of the Cascades, we're going to have an influx of cold air come rushing in. It's going to drop snow levels down to just about 3,500 feet. Passes like Santiam and Willamette will see significant snow. You could see 6 to 12 inches of snow at pass level down the further southern Oregon Cascades. Now, Government Camp isn't that high in elevation. They're just about 3,500 feet. So we're thinking maybe 1 inch to 2 at most by Sunday afternoon. I think tomorrow they just maybe see a dusting, maybe a slushy ½ inch or so. A lot of that cold air is just not going to push the snow level down around Mount Hood that far. Up at Timberline and Mount Hood Meadows, they will see significant snow tomorrow afternoon especially, and then into Sunday, which is great. We need to build that snowpack. That is something that we are definitely watching now as we're coming out of fire season and we're preparing for next year as well. But down in the valley again, wind and rain tomorrow. If you're going to be in Eugene for Ducks playing Wisconsin, it's a 4 o'clock kick at Autzen. It's going to be wet. We know it never rains at Autzen Stadium, but it's going to be lots of liquid sunshine. And I'm worried a little bit about a wind swirling around Autzen. If you have been to games there when the weather is not perfect, you know that the wind gets in that bowl there at the stadium and can swirl, and that can be problems for kickers and quarterbacks trying to throw a lot of high passes. So Dante Moore, I know he'll be ready to go. I know Wisconsin's players also will be ready, but kicking in a windy situation and the ball is wet and swirling winds can always make for an interesting afternoon of college football. So something we are really watching that as well. Once we get into Sunday, another wave comes in, and then Monday and Tuesday. We talked yesterday about maybe the back half of next week looking better. Unfortunately, models continue to waffle on that solution, and this morning they really kind of said for Halloween especially that it's going to be extremely wet. So just a heads up on that. If you're going to be out trick-or-treating, have kids out there partaking in the festivities, just be ready for a lot of wind and a lot of rain as we get into the Halloween holiday next Friday. It's going to be wet, and unfortunately it looks like we have the bad timing of another cold front coming through right about 5 o'clock on Friday. Now that could change and will likely change, but the models say today a really big impact coming on Halloween afternoon, moving through the Portland area just about 5 p.m. So something to be watchful for as we go into the future. But back to today, again, we're getting a little bit of break that will be coming through. Look at the radar real quick here on my phone. And it was saying that there is going to be a little bit of a break. I will try and show that here, if you can see this a little bit. That little donut hole right there, that is just coming through central Washington County. So Beaverton, Hillsborough, they are in kind of a dry slot right now down to Newburgh. But once that kind of goes through here in the next hour, there's another really big heavy band of rain right behind that. And that's going to be our afternoon commute headache. We have not heard of any urban flooding yet. And thankfully the wind hasn't been that strong, so we're not seeing a lot of leaves come off trees. But it will be something to look at for this afternoon and tomorrow. If we do get winds above 30 miles an hour, a lot of these leaves will be blowing off trees. And of course, that can create issues on the road, where if you don't keep the storm drain clear, the water will just run over and start to pond, and you get a lot of urban flooding. So National Weather Service talked about that, to be on the lookout today and tomorrow for that. Along the Oregon coast, we have one of our photographers, Justin Wynn, is heading out there right now. He's going to be live in Cannon Beach here in about an hour or so, so make sure you stay tuned here on K2 on all of our socials, especially our YouTube page. Justin's going to get some great visuals out on the Oregon coast. Wind is rocking and rolling out there. Like I said, we had gusts of 60 miles an hour and even higher in some of the higher elevations earlier this morning as the first wave of energy came through. The atmospheric river is now finally starting to push through the Oregon coast and into the Willamette Valley. Rain rates today, haven't seen a lot yet, but by the time all is said and done this afternoon, we could probably see 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch in the populated areas along the coast, probably pushing an inch, and into the Cascade foothills as well. Over the course of tomorrow and through Sunday, by the time we get done with these kind of this 3 or 4 wave pattern, 2 to 4 inches of rain along the Oregon coast, 2 to 4 inches of rain in the Cascades, in the metro area, 1 to 2 inches. And some of the models this morning were saying, let's take this atmospheric river and we're going to put it more into southwest Washington than say directly over the Portland area. So that could be a good thing for those of us in the Portland area. But if you're in southwest Washington, you could see anywhere from maybe 1 3/4 inches up to 2.5 inches. So something to be on the lookout again over the course of the weekend. Wind starting to pick up again here in downtown. We kind of expected that throughout the course of the morning into the afternoon. But as Rhonda Shelby said, the storm season has begun. The door is now open. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to have any dry, warm weather. Definitely not the rest of this weekend into next week or even beyond. Models have kind of flipped the solution, and now we are into our storm season, so we can see waves of energy come in any given time. We will continue to track today, especially the atmospheric river, which has been rated strong by the Scripps Institute down in San Diego. They're the ones who are really studying these impacts. One thing I do want to bring up, and we have seen this in some of the comments online, people have said, I've been in this area forever, I grew up here, and we used to hear this term Pineapple Express, and now that's gone away, and now it's just an atmospheric river. Is there a difference? And the answer to that is no. The Pineapple Express is very much what an atmospheric river is. It's an area of water vapor that's very thin and very intense, and that gets transported from the tropics. That's where that pineapple reference came in for the islands of Hawaii. And that energy makes its way over the Pacific Ocean as a very thin ribbon of water vapor. Like I said, it's almost like a river. It's very focused, it's very narrow, and it impacts one area. And when it does that, you get a lot of rain. So the term atmospheric river has been in the meteorology textbooks and the glossaries for a long time. Colloquially, we've used the term Pineapple Express because it was just an easy way and a more friendly way to say than atmospheric river. It's just kind of hard to describe what an atmospheric river is. So saying Pineapple Express, people are like, okay, lots of moisture coming from the tropics. And that's exactly what an atmospheric river is. Throughout the course of the winter, I'm sure you'll hear terms like bomb cyclone and stuff like that. We can explain what that means, and there's really nothing to be afraid of. So, again, we're up here on the roof at K2. We're going to be hanging out here most of the afternoon, watching the wind and rain come down. Tomorrow's storm looks to be kind of potent. We'll, again, see the high wind warning go into effect on the Oregon coast tomorrow afternoon, starting at 8 a.m. through 8 p.m. It's going to blow all day. Again, it's the Tillamook County coastline and then the central Oregon coastline will definitely have the highest winds. As this next area of low pressure moves in, it'll move in just to the north of that, so we'll probably see an area like southwest Washington where the low will directly go over, and that will see an increase of winds on the South Oregon coast. It'll also increase the winds in the Willamette Valley. And again, if you're headed down to Eugene or just going to be out and about tomorrow, going to the pumpkin patch or trying to get your honeydew list done, you're going to have rain and wind, so just be prepared for that. It's unfortunately, like we said, it's storm season here now in the Pacific Northwest. It's off in the gloom, and here we go. We have a few months of this ahead. I hate saying that, but it's part of the deal. When you live in the Pacific Northwest, you're going to get rain and wind and lots of fun if you're a weatherman like I am. So keep it locked right here on K2. We're going to have lots of information throughout the course of the day. Of course, Dave Selesky will be along at 4, 5, 6, and 11 tonight. Dave's actually in all weekend, so he'll have your updated forecast all weekend long, and we look forward to seeing you guys on air. We've got lots of stuff coming up here on K2 Digital. Of course, we're going to hear from Tiago Splitter this afternoon, the new interim head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, after Chauncey Billups is now allegedly involved in this gambling ring. So Tiago will address the media here this afternoon about 5:15. All that available online here at K2.com. And don't forget to download the K2 weather app. Take that with you no matter where you go. Watches and warnings will follow, which is very handy if you're out and about during storm season. Bobby Corser, digital meteorologist. I will talk with everybody here in a little bit.